I watched a video today on the Qliphoth, and I have to say it is one of the best, or the best videos I've watched so far on the Qliphoth. Really informative as to what you go through and what to expect when you enter the Qliphoth. Now, I at this stage don't feel I'm ready for it. I'm doing a lot of reading. I'm reading on the Kabbalah. I'm trying to get both aspects of the tree of life, and obviously the tree of death. But I'm finding this journey absolutely fascinating, and and the information that I'm learning is the information that I've wanted to learn for a couple of years now, which is one of the reasons why I went down the Gnostic route. But as with all information out there are different opinions. It can get messy out there. So where I'm at the moment is just trying to find my path. Who do I want to learn from? Not even necessarily, having a mentor where I'm handing over my money. The guy who I have watched today, what I really resonated with this particular video, and I will link the video in the comments, in the description, and please do go and watch if you are interested in learning about this stuff, because the information was phenomenal. And I'm actually going to read some of his replies that he has graciously replied to me and graciously subscribed to my channel. He is one of the few out of all the occultists that I follow at the moment that has actually bothered to reply and give yet more gnosis. So really grateful if you watch this video, really grateful to that. Thank you so much. So I'm going to read those before I actually break down. I'm going to do this video in segments because I need to go back and rewatch and take notes. But what I loved about this video is he incorporated the Gnostic stuff, the Demiurge, the Archons within the Qliphoth. And of course, having a Gnostic background, that really resonated with me. So without further ado, I shall read his comments. So I left him a comment: the best video I've seen on the Qliphoth, thank you, and was blown away by the information at the end too. One thing I theorized a while back was we have 144,000 DNA strands, 72 demonic and 72 angelic. If the Goetia represent the chakras, where does the light angelic fit in? Now, that question came from, obviously, something that he said in his video, which will become more clear as I break his video down. And I go on to say I've spoken about the Demiurge, Saturn, and the Black Cube because he mentioned those in the video and how they link in with the Qliphoth. And I mentioned about Darth. Anyway, I don't need to waffle on about that. So his reply was to that. Let me just get the reply. And the reason why I'm reading these replies, again, absolute gold for the knowledge. So thank you so much. I give you thanks and energy of much gratitude for your generous words and insight. Quite great questions, beloved. So again, just coming from an absolute place of love and really gracious, which I just love. I think that the dark and the light complement each other, and the ultimate balance is necessary for ascension to self-divinity. Now, again, I loved that because one of the things that I've been grappling with is I don't want to stay in the dark. The whole purpose of me being on this journey is to incorporate the dark and the light and become balanced, to basically walk the middle path of the tree of life, which is the royal path. Now, whether I'll get there in this lifetime remains to be seen, but that is the ultimate goal. I don't want to stay in the dark, whereas I feel that a lot of the left-hand path practitioners, they are focused and they're staying on the dark path. So again, I found that really valuable for him to say that. Angels and demons are really one and the same thing. And again, we're all one. So when we talk about demons being evil or angels being, the good. It's all one. And if we think about God created everything, then he created good and evil. It's all just one. Um, so angels are in fact demons. This is also somewhat explained in the movie Legion. I might watch that later. The original meaning of demon is in ancient Greek. I can't pronounce that. Pronounced daemon or daemon meaning God, godlike, power, fate, and referred to a lesser deity or guiding spirit such as the daemons of ancient Greek religion and mythology and of later Hellenistic religion and philosophy. Daemons are lesser divinities or spirits, often personifications of abstract concepts, beings of the same nature as both mortals and deities, similar to ghosts, chthonic heroes, spirit guides, forces of nature, or the deities themselves. See Plato's Symposium. I don't even know what symposium means, so I'm going to have to research that word. I'm coming across so many words that I don't know what they mean. According to Hesiod's myth, great and powerful figures were to be honoured after death as a daemon. According to Burkert, a daemon is not so much a type of quasi-divine being, but rather a non-personified, peculiar mode of their activity. And in Hesiod's theogony, Phaeton becomes an incorporeal daemon or a divine spirit. Demons are divine allies, friends, bringing guidance and help. But I think what kind of happened along the way is that in fundamentalist Christianity, anything that was not Christian was automatically deemed as bad or satanic, which I have spoken about. And for example, a Christian who I once worked with at a job told me to stay away from meditation and astral projection because he said all of that is of the devil. And they also say that breath work and yoga is of the devil. And fundamentalist Christians will also try to condemn things such as working with crystals for healing. So by the influence of fundamentalist Christianity, as it later spread, demons became associated in religious beliefs with being a bad thing, simply because it was seen as something unchristian. And then he goes on to say, which again was really nice, you have profound wisdom as is apparent here. I'm going to check out your content as well. So again, really gracious. Let's see if I reply with anything of value. I couldn't mean spirit, but regards for brainwashing and I just explained to him that I'm new to the left-hand path and the Qliphoth. I don't think I'm ready yet to take the plunge with the reverse. I haven't even done ritual yet, but I've had many paranormal experiences and a deity that has been with me since I was a child and I believe has led me to this path. Now, just on the fact that I don't think I'm ready, and again, it will come apparent when I go through what this chap experienced with the Qliphoth. Now, he doesn't talk about his personal experiences because it is personal. And as I said, from my reading of Kabbalah Magic, what we do in ritual is personal to us. And if we actually share the information, it actually the ritual becomes less powerful. So it is personal. So I'm going to refrain from sharing my actual personal experiences, but obviously I don't mind, sharing my journey, because I am a complete beginner. So anyone who is on this path, who is also a complete beginner, may find value from what I'm saying. But I just want to say on that regarding the Qliphoth. So, and me not being ready, it's because of the emotional roller coaster that it could potentially send you on. And I'm not sure I'm ready for that. But this morning I thought about my mushroom ceremony, and people do mushrooms to get rid of trauma, to heal. That is the whole purpose of mushrooms. And of course, I didn't have a bad experience on my mushroom ceremony. If anything, it was absolutely beautiful. And I learned a lot from it about my spirit. And of course, I met my mum, my cat, Sonia. I met the demon. So, and also I asked my tarot cards this morning, am I ready for the Qliphoth? And every single card said yes, apart from one, which was the devil card. Now, bearing in mind, in another video, I've said that the tarot card is about our subconscious, the bit that the part of ourselves that we can't actually, we don't listen to. And the devil card, so I read for the yes and no, because of course I asked a yes or no question. So the devil card basically said, you may, oh God, I can't remember now, you may regret the repercussions of your actions. And that is something that is holding me back, because again, as will become apparent when I start breaking down this content creator's video, is that once you're on the path of the Qliphoth, there's no getting off. So I think, that's where I've got a level of apprehension with it. So his response to me here, which is again very informative, I just love his gnosis. It's just, yeah, anyway. Absolutely, beloved. I honor and appreciate your input and connection. And what is watching my Kabbalah right now. Blah blah. Okay, so Lucifer isn't something bad, as you know. The religious people, of course, lack comprehension of higher levels of truth. Fundamentalist religion is really spiritual kindergarten for those who aren't ready for higher level metaphysics. And for some of us, remaining in religion is more safe and sound. But certain elites and or secret societies know about the true meaning of Lucifer. And again, this is what's led me on this path of wanting to learn about the occult, and why I've explored the Freemasons, and of course why I'm exploring all this now is because I know that the elites have inverted everything. Or well, I say that I know. Again, the caveat, I assume to know that they've inverted everything, and what they project to us, the plebs, is used against us. That's my belief from the research that I've done thus far. And I want to know the symbolism, what's powerful behind it. Why do they study it? And of course, they know the true meaning of Lucifer, which I'm going to go on to read now. So Lucifer means light bearer, or the carrier or bringing of light. Light is consciousness. The brain runs on electricity, and the ego is simply the awareness of self. And again, what I'm going to do when I do my second half, I waffle, guys. And when I do my second reading of the introduction to Kabbalah Magic, he actually talks about these three parts of the anatomy of the soul, and I'm going to talk about that. So, God and Lucifer are actually the same thing. God, in the most purest form, is no thing. As the messenger teaches us, in the beginning of the universe, there was no dimensional form, no up, no down, no nothing, only the triple darkness of the dark matter of space, no thing. Everything began with the first spark of light, which was the first atom from movement in the dark matter. This is the meaning of Genesis 1:2. Now, I've never read the Bible, so darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Spirit is frequency. Water is a current or wave. This means that the Spirit of God emitted itself into physical form. The first conscious body that this universe created for itself to be aware of itself was the first light. In a sense, Lucifer is the physical shape and form that God, the universe, creates in order to be aware of itself as that conscious being. Speaking in esoteric terms, the first body that God created to be aware of itself in physical form is what Christians might call the begotten Son. But it wasn't just the first form. I need to check that I've just pressed record. Yes, I have. Sorry, guys. I'm not recording this. So I'll go back. So speaking in esoteric terms, the first body that God created to be aware of itself in physical form is what Christians might call the begotten Son. But it wasn't just the first form. It was also the first body, first shape, first light, which is the nothingness of space creating a form of itself to be aware of itself. Likewise, you, the individual person, also have a son, S-O-N, your body, which is the first form you have created for yourself to be aware of yourself as a spirit. You've become a physical individual spirit. So we're talking about God becoming an individual. This is why throughout historical times, the past 6,000 years, you hardly ever read any stories about God actually doing anything. He sends messengers, angels, prophets, etc. to do things. So when you read stories about angels being sent to destroy Lucifer, i.e. Sodom and Gomorrah, this is God sending created beings to destroy the lower nature of itself. The idea that something is better than nothing is a Luciferian idea, because in the beginning, God was no thing. So when he became something, he killed his lower self. So God transformed, died, and was reborn. Just as death and birth are simply transformations, because energy cannot be destroyed but only reciprocated. Something has to have a sharing form, has to exist, has to occupy space in dimensional density in order for it to be aware of itself. This is what we would call Lucifer, the light bearer. So Lucifer is not a separate thing. Lucifer would be God's name in the physical, because the physical is a lesser, lower form than the no thing. The no thing is a higher form than the physical, because the physical has limitations. Thus, Lucifer is God's lower self. Lucifer is the story of God creating himself. In darkness, you can create your own light rather than be led by another's light, because another's light may just blind you to the truth. In darkness, you're free to have your own blank canvas to create within your own God space. Only in darkness is there complete freedom. Light always comes with limitations. All realms of reality are created from light. Light is information. Things come into formation via light in formation. He breaks down the word information there, in formation, for those of you who are interested in etymology, revealing the external world for our perception to the mind. Light reveals what is seen. Plants receive information via light to take from. Things take form from light. So when the darkness of space wanted to experience itself in third dimensional density as the first sun of itself, as the first light, it started acting out in its lower nature by giving itself limitations with light. Then God created other physical natures to regulate that physical lower nature. Here's where opposition comes in. Angels and demons, the lower limited physical world. Excuse me. Neve having to put her oar in there. Thus, God's lowest nature is what we would call Satan, and Satan means adversary or opposer. And God's highest nature is what we would call Yah or Yahweh, Jehovah or Allah. So God is within us all. God is the highest high and the lowest low, and we all live within God, which is the all. Every man is Lucifer, because every man bears a light within the mind. Visual perception is by light, as the external images are reconstructed in the brain via light. The ego, sense of self, is light. Every animal also is Lucifer. Every cognitive, conscious, living, sentient being is a light bearer. So if you ascribe to any religion, or if you believe in any set of principles, or ascribe to any teachings, you are ascribing to a kind of light. All of us are Lucifer. All of us are God experiencing itself in its physical nature, because you are the universe experiencing itself as you right now. I am the universe experiencing itself as me right now. Like the grass, spring comes and the grass grows of its own. The highest intelligence came out of life, like a seed on its own. Everything that exists from atoms to stars is that life force, is that intelligence. That which we call God is that intelligence. It dwells within me as me. It dwells within you as you. And the more physical matter, the heavier. Oops. Sorry, I clicked off by mistake. I'll find that again. I need to learn to breathe whilst I'm reading. Where was I? I'll try and cut this bit out. Right. Like the grass spring comes, and the grass grows of its own. The highest intelligence came out of life, like a seed on its own. Everything that exists from atoms to stars is that life force, is that intelligence. That which we call God is that intelligence. It dwells within me, it dwells within you, is you. And the more physical matter, the heavier in mass, and thus the more dense something is. And the more dense something is, the more it sinks down in gravitational pull, i.e., the heavier it is, the lower it is. The original primordial darkness out of the universe has no physical form, thus it is high. So when the darkness of the universe, the highest, purest form of God, is experiencing itself as a physical being, as a light bearer, it becomes subject to lower natures, as Lucifer. So Lucifer is the first shape and form of God, the physical living form with the spirit of God in it. And here is why God is masculine energy, always referred to in scripture as he. Because by the triple darkness of space creating movement and causing friction to spark light, it emitted itself out into the physical realm. The movement penetrated the darkness and gave birth to itself in the physical. The first physical form is the form of light. So in the Bible, we have God fighting with himself, and it plays out in us as well. We often fight with ourselves. Yeah, for definite. Thus, the best way to understand God is to understand thyself, know thyself. Jesus absolutely says he is Lucifer in the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verses 16. First, let's examine Isaiah, chapter 14, verses 12. Wow! We're doing! Isaiah 14:12, how you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. Okay, so right here in Isaiah 14 and 12, Lucifer is straight up called the morning star. Revelation 22:16, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. Revelation 22, verses 16. I, Jesus, am Lucifer, the bright morning star, is a sun shining from the east to dawn, a new day. And actually, I'm going to make a correction of something that I said in another video. After I've done a meditation in the magic course, it tells to bow to the east. Bow to the east, say thank you to our ancestors. I actually think the east is Lucifer, is the morning star, not bow to the east, because that's where the sun rises, because the sun rises in different places. I can't remember the word, north, south, east, west directions, in winter and summer. So I stand corrected with that. And now I've just read this, we are bowing and saying thank you to Lucifer, the morning star. Right. Okay, so Revelation 22, verses 16. I am Jesus, I'm Lucifer, the bright morning star, is the sun shining from the east to dawn, a new day. Oh, no, actually, I'll take back what I've just said, because it is the sun shining from the east. Oh, never mind. Okay, I effed up there. Right, so at least I'll keep it authentic, guys. And in the Quran, chapter 24, verses 35, Allah is the bringer and sender of light. Lucifer is the ego. Lucifer is a spirit experiencing itself in physical form of the universe, experiencing itself as an individual, which means that it is conscious, sentient being perceiving itself to be separate from everything else, carrying its own lantern as a light bearer. This is the ego. And I shall see you in part 2. Hi guys, part 2 of the amazing video that I watched on the Qliphoth. As I said, I will link the video in the description box below, and I hope I can do it justice, and I hope you watch my version of the video till the end, because I am going to make a little announcement on a decision that I've made on my journey. to progress my journey. So stick around. And I also think rather than me break down the information that he talks about at the end, because it is amazing, informative information, I'm going to clip it and put it at the end of this video. Again, if you prefer to watch his video, that's fine. He's way more experienced as I am. I'm literally here as at this stage as an introduction into the journey that I'm on. For anyone who is deliberating, walking the left-hand path, or just his spiritual journey. I'm going to stop calling it the left-hand path, and I'll explain at the end why. So, right, okay, so he describes the journey into the Qliphoth as very, very intense, and it's an extreme intuition. And this is the reason why I know I'm not ready to do that. He says it's not a quick process, and God, it's really warm today, and I can't open my windows because of the cats. Do you know what? I'm going to close the door. That's a clever thing to do, and I'm stuck. My pants are wrapped around my close his door so that I can open the window and sort of boil to death. Because for a change, it's a stunning day. Rightio, yes, it's a very, very intense experience, and it will reveal really personal things. And the reason what makes it dangerous is that it will bring up emotions, and emotions, as he clarifies, means energy and motion. And as those of us, many of us know, emotions can bring out physical illness. So if you're going through a process where it's going to bring out the deepest and darkest of yourself, and he explains parts of yourself which you didn't even know existed, it can actually create very strong emotions which adversely can bring on ill health. And that's why it can be dangerous if you go into it unprepared, not expecting, not having any let me put my brain into gear, not understanding what you're going into. So as I say, it can cause physical emotions, and that's why it can be dangerous. Now, I refer to Jung. Now, I don't know 100% category that Carl Jung actually did the Qliphoth, but I suspect he did. I believe he wrote a book which I've never read because it's very expensive, called The Red Book, and it's about his the psychosis he experienced. Now, I believe he brought a meme out, or rather a saying, a quote. It's called meme these days, but he said a quote: "In order to reach heaven, you've got to go to the depths of hell." So with that, I assume he's referring to the tree of life, the tree of death, because they are inversions of one another. And again, I'm reading between the lines because I'm not very well studied on Jung. I believe he went through the tree of death, and that's potentially when he wrote his book, The Red Book, on the psychosis the spiritual psychosis that he experienced. So yes, it can be dangerous in that respect. And I have seen some content creators who are talking about the Qliphoth. It can actually kill you. And I suppose that can be because we're not actually conjuring demons externally that are going to come and kill us. What we experience in the Qliphoth is actually what's within us. So if you experience spiritual psychosis to such a degree that you can't handle, then yes, potentially, if you're that way inclined, it could kill you. So he basically says it can lead to dangerous feelings, and you can't stop it. Once you're in, you cannot get out. It's already in motion. And if the fear sets in, you can't get out. You have to be certain that you want it. You will create the fear. It's not the process of the Qliphoth which creates the fear. He says it's the ultimate shadow work, and I think that's why I myself am not yet ready, and I'll explain why I'm not ready. I'm actually what I'm doing to prepare myself if indeed in the future I choose to go down that route. Now, I do believe there's an alternative, which again I will talk about at the end of this video. So then goes on to talk about the spheres. And again, this is a really condensed version of his video. He talks about Lilith is the first goddess to encounter. She's the gateway. She's the absolute dark womb, the feminine side of the Qliphoth. Lilith is the primordial force that birthed all creation. You are forced to face the most dark side of your feminine self, whether you are male or female. And then he talks about the tunnels of Set. Now, Kenneth Grant wrote a book on the tunnels of Set, called The Night Side of Eden. He doesn't talk a lot about the tunnels of Set. I have done it to Gamaliel, and he will make you face things you didn't know that were within you, hidden traumas, the ugliest part of yourself. Not many of us want to face the ugly part of ourselves, and that's why we suppress, and that's why it's deeply hidden. And then he talks about Samael. Now, he talks quite extensively about Samael, but again, what I found really interesting with this particular version of the Qliphoth is he brings a lot of Gnostic elements to it, and that's what grabbed me about this video, because, as you know, I have looked at Gnosticism. So it was really nice to see Gnosticism brought into Kabbalah, and it's making me realize that everything really is linked and tied together within the occult. So Samael, now he mentions a book called the Apocryphon of John, which is actually from the Nag Hammadi library. Now, Jesus talks about the Demiurge, who is the biblical God. And then he reels off some names of the biblical God, but then he said of what we think they are, like Yahweh and some other names which I can't remember. Again, he talks about it more extensively. There are two other names, and also Samael is the correct name. So two other names and then another name, which is the correct name for the biblical God. Samael is a sphere of the Demiurge. He is the biblical God. Samael is the ego. The Demiurge is our own lower selves. Jesus states Samael is Satan, your own ego. And again, I found it really interesting, because what I've understood so far with the Gnostic stuff and the Demiurge is outside of ourselves. Now, again, we can look at all of this and go, it's as within, as without. So what's outside of ourselves is also within ourselves, as above, so below. It's all connected. So when people talk about the demons being evil and shouldn't go there, yada yada, we have these energies within inside us. And I guess the reason why I'm doing these videos and talking about it is I've had people say to me, why do you want to work with demons? Why are you wanting to do black magic? Why do you want to do that? And I can't always coherently explain why I want to do it. So when I haven't got somebody coming back at me, I find it easy to do the videos, because I haven't got somebody coming back at me with opposition, but I'm able to explain it. And of course, I've got the information here in front of me from other people. So that's, this is why I'm talking about this, because I think these things need to be better understood. Now, I've mentioned about Satan previously and why Satanism is so prevalent in our modern world, and how it's depicted as evil and blood sacrifice and animal sacrifice and human sacrifice. Now, all those things may be going on because you've always got the good and the bad. It's like, people do horrific things under the name of God. So it's a very small part of what the dark arts, what working with demons is. It's not the overall picture, but of course Hollywood, Christianity, entertainment is depicting it that. And I believe it's because they don't want people looking at things like this and healing themselves, working with their traumas, because of course, as I've mentioned before, we live in a world that creates traumas. That's the whole design of this realm, is to be traumatic. Now, whether that's to get the soul to move on and to evolve, or whether that's because they want ultimate control over us. That I don't think any of us know. We've all got our own opinions on it, and mine has changed. But yeah, that's why I think they don't want us looking at this kind of stuff, and that's why it's been demonized with the Christian church, films, entertainment, etc. So then he goes on to talk about Lucifer. And Lucifer is the conscious, sentient self, the light bearer, the universe experiencing itself as an individual. He then goes on to talk about the inversion of the Tipperet, which is Christ consciousness on the tree of life, which is the sun, which is in the center, which is the heart space. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce this right. Thegorion, which is the elevation of consciousness, that's the inversion of the Tiferet on the tree of life. When you reach there, Theoregon, it's time to move up, and the balance between four spheres. And I'm actually going to show a picture. So when you balance the 4 spheres and then you have the central sphere, it actually depicts the unicursal hexagram. And what I'm loving about this is the way it's all tied. I've seen this symbolism. Thelema, Aleister Crowley's school of magic, it uses a universal hexagram. And again, like I say, it's just great for me to be able to connect all these dots. This sphere requires a higher level of dark consciousness. And then the next sphere, he says, you burn away all the unnecessary parts of the ego, which is the purpose of the Qliphoth. It's going to make you stronger as you're conjuring all these demonic energies, which are all aspects of your dormant self. Da'ath is the database for your soul, and there you'll meet Choronzon. You're going to get knowledge. It's the same principle as the Da'ath on the tree of life, which is actually hidden on the tree of life. Again, I've done a video on that. Lucifer is the key holder for Da'ath on the tree of life. Here we've got Choronzon. And then the final one, and then there's a couple of other spheres, and then the final one is Thamiel, which is a throne of Lucifer. You will understand power of creation. Opposing energies is all things come into creation. The adversarial force is what created everything. And I actually think that's a really important line, and again, this is his perception based on the research that he's done. Of course, there are going to be opposing opinions on that, and I understand that. But the books that this guy has read, I resonate with, because he's gone back to ancient Egypt. One of the books I can't remember, and again, I'm gonna screen record the part where he's talking about all of these connections, because he can do it far more succinctly than I. And then once I've edited that bit in, I'm going to talk about the next stage of my journey. So if you've got this far, thank you. Hit like and subscribe, because I actually believe this part of my journey is an integral part of the soul's evolution.
On the Qliphoth, Tree of Qliphoth by the Temple of Ascending Flame. And I want to turn here to page 189, which talks about Thamiel. A lot of good information in this book, right? Thamiel, the twin of God. And it's interesting what it says here. It says, the realm of Thamiel marks the crowning of the draconian initiatory process, right? So you're at the crown now, you're at the top, right? However, it is only the end of one journey and the beginning of another, a path that transcends all man-made maps and systems of initiation. So it's the ending of the journey on the tree and the beginning of a whole other journey. It's a path that transcends all man-made maps of systems and initiation. So you're now transcending both the Kabbalah and the Qliphoth initiation journeys. In the draconian tradition, it is the vision of the throne of Lucifer and revelation of the mystery of the twin of God, right? The twin of God, the two opposing forces. This realm is believed to consist of 2 separate dimensions, one ruled by Satan, AC, and the other ruled by Moloch, DC. AC, DC, alternate current, direct current, opposing adversarial forces, which is what brings creation into being, representing duality as opposed to the unity of Kether on the tree of life. So representing these dual opposing forces as opposed to unity on the Kabbalah tree. The initiate opens here the path into the void. So here's where you've taken this journey, this initiatory process. Now you open the path into the void. And what does that lead to? Beyond both the tree of life and the tree of death, beyond both the Kabbalah and the Qliphoth. And the initiate becomes the black diamond, the ultimate manifestation of deified consciousness, right? So the pineal gland is actually the black diamond. the dark throne of Saturn, or opposing forces. Saturn, the god, is actually the demiurge, which brings physical form into being via light from dark energy, right? This is your pineal gland. The demiurge is Lucifer, the light bearer. The pineal gland is Lucifer, the light bearer. The Da'af is the pathway that eventually takes you to Thamael via Septariel and Gabriel, right? So the Da'af is the pineal gland's gateway, the portal to the throne of the black diamond. The pineal gland is how you access your own black diamond, your own potential to create light in the astral realm. The word astral has to do with stars, the cosmos, from such words as astronomy, astrology, astral, right? So stars are bodies of light, bodies of consciousness that are birthed from dark energy, or what we could call nine ether. This is a good book to get. Astral Dynamics by Robert Bruce. And it's a very good book for practical instructions on how to astral project, how to leave the body, how to access the pineal gland, accessing the black diamond that connects to the entire dark, endless, eternal subconscious ocean, which is a pathway of going within, and which is your godly throne of dual forces, your own Thamael. And from the throne of dual force, currents, you can create your own light. You can create your own physical form. This is another good book to get. Dark Light Consciousness, Melanin Serpent Power, and the Luminous Matrix of Reality by Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum, right? The pineal gland is actually a black hole. The pineal gland receives light based on your perceptions and perspectives of things that you have seen and gathered from your eyes, based upon what you have perceived in your 3D material surroundings, and receives those as a black hole receives light and inverts it or transmutes it into something else, which is what scientists also refer to as a white hole that emits out. So the black hole is kind of feminine, it receives, the white hole emits out. The pineal gland releases the highest levels of melatonin when there's darkness. Bobby Hemmett explains how melanin is dark energy. So from your own dark energy, you can create your own light forms. When you imagine something or fantasize about something, it is going to come into reality because you're creating what we could call bubbles or clouds in the astral realm, which are going to exist on a quantum physical level and will eventually come into physical manifestation. So we actually create by what we imagine or fantasize. This is using the pineal gland, but it's not just having a daydream or a fantasy. You've got to become talented with exercising and using the pineal gland, right? You can create your own light physical forms from your own dark energy. The pineal gland is Lucifer, the light bearer, the black diamond. In this book, The Secret Books of the Egyptian Gnostics, which is a very, very good book, over here on page 270, see it says here, Qliphoth is identified with Saturn and his archons with the other planets, right? So throughout the book, it makes it clear, this is going into the Egyptian Gnostic scriptures, like, various parts. It makes it clear that Qliphoth is the Abrahamic God. Qliphoth, Yaldabaoth is Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahweh, the God that gave Moses the Ten Commandments. Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, Jehovah is Saturn. Saturn is the demiurge, or the Lord of this world, who creates physical form via light. Saturn, aka Yaldabaoth, aka Yahweh, aka Jehovah, the Abrahamic God, the God of Genesis who said, let there be light, is Lucifer, the light bearer, the conscious creator of physical form via light. The Secret Books of the Egyptian Gnostics, and we're going to be reading from page 270, where it specifies that the demiurge, Yaldabaoth, aka Yahweh, aka Jehovah, the architect, the lord of this lower realm, is identified with Saturn. Go ahead and read that page there, son.
Yaldabaoth is identified with Saturn, and his archons are the other planets.
Right, so Yaldabaoth is identified with Saturn, Adalabrah, Yaldabaoth, Jehovah, Yahweh, Yakub, and his minions, which are his archons, are identified with the other planets. Right? Not saying that the god of this world is the planet, but that Saturn is his planetary energy signature.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to show you some other things, okay?
Okay.
All right, check this out. All right, so look at the computer screen in front of us here, right? See what I'm showing you? All right, so Saturn has a geometric cube on its north pole, right? The cube contains every perfect geometric 3D shape within it. So the cube represents the 3D material world. And Saturn is number 7 if we count the sun as a planet starting from the sun as number 1, right? Saturn spins counterclockwise, which is important because, look at this. As you can see here in Mecca, Arabia, the Orthodox Muslims make 7 counterclockwise laps around this black cube, which represents Saturn. So they are worshiping the creator of this 3D material world. Saturn is the lord of this world. Saturn's the lord of the Matrix. Saturn is the demiurge talked about in Gnosticism, as we just read in the book, right? So Christians are also worshiping Saturn. It's no different. And here's what I want to show you. Check this out. Look at this. In astrology, Saturn rules the house of Capricorn, the goat. And Capricorn represents the physical, tangible, material things. Capricorn is order and discipline. Capricorns are all about what is tangible, practical, and resourceful. So the demiurge is the goat. G-O-A-T, goat, stands for greatest of all time. The lord of this world is the greatest of all time because Saturn is time. Saturn is chronos, which means time. Right, so Saturn is the demiurge. The demiurge is the Abrahamic God, the biblical God, the God of Moses, the God of Abraham. The demiurge is Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah. The reason why the demiurge is referred to as Satan in the Gnostic text is because the demiurge creates 3D material physical form. And any type of 3D material physical form is hell because it puts limitations on the soul. But heaven and hell is really the same thing. On a deep esoteric level, any occultist understands that heaven and hell are ultimately the same thing. But that's hard for a religious person to understand. But it goes deeper than that. Saturn is also the pineal gland and the kundalini. This book here, the Necronomicon, The Wanderings of Alhazred, which is a Donald Tyson book. In this section of the book, Yig corresponding to the sphere of Saturn. And it talks about the kundalini in figurative terms here. It says, from the beginning, man has feared the serpent. The serpent is the connection of the chakras, the kundalini. But why this lowly creature that crawls upon its belly and nests beneath the earth should be an object of dread and wonder has been forgotten, though the causes are echoed in our dreams and in the myths of our ancestors. In the sacred book concerning the creation, it is the serpent who teaches wisdom to Eve, the raising of the kundalini. And we'll get into that. Skipping over to this page, it says, Damballa, it's talking about Damballa, the symbol of the snake eating its own tail is the depiction of the universe, which is the great mother devouring her own womb, devouring her own self. And here's where the dualistic concept of AC, DC, alternate current, direct current, positive, negative, male, female comes into play. There's a snake, there's the head of the snake, and the tail of the snake, by the Egyptians known as Apep, or Apophis. He is remembered in the myths of the Greeks as the cosmic serpent that encircles the world, who is without beginning or end, for he is deathless. It says, He is strong in the temples of the eastern lands, where the basilisk is especially revered and protected as the monarch of serpents, for it consumes lesser snakes, lesser kundalinis, as prey, and stands upright upon its tail to the height of a man, and its gaze has the power of causing entrancement in the minds of those who look into its eyes. There is no power of human will strong enough to resist its seduction. So not all people are ready for the raising of the kundalini. You know, the sound vibration, the influence of it is hard to resist when you raise your kundalini. The constellation sacred to Yig is that known as Draco, the dragon constellation, and his sect believes that the god dwells there and gazes down upon the world. He is called into the body of a priestess who lies naked upon the sand, writhing her limbs and hissing through her lips, her thighs anointed with blood and her eyes rolled back into her head so that only the whites of her eyes may be seen. This is referencing accessing the pineal gland, which is through the kundalini. We'll cover that in a minute. So when you're meditating, you can cross your eyes by what they call cross-eye position, where you focus your eyeballs in the center like this. You focus right here while you're meditating, and you zoom in deep. This is how you access the kundalini, right? All right, we're here in the garage, lesson number 44.
And today we're going to be talking about the chakras.
All right, so point out the chakras on that poster there, so explain it.
The roots.
Point to it, go ahead.
The roots.
Root chakra.
The sacrum. The solar plexus.
Right.
The heart, the throat, the third eye, and crown.
Right, remember we watched that video on the Last Airbender about the chakras?
And so the chakras are a snake, and
it's a serpent, it's a snake, right?
And you eat onion banana juice, like,
right.
I don't know.
And so it's, now when the chakras are connected, that's called the kundalini. Say kundalini?
Kundalini.
Right, which signifies a serpent or a snake, right? All right, so we're continuing to read the secret books of the Egyptian Gnostics. All right, so what page are we on there, son?
We are on page 292 and page 293.
All right, go ahead and start reading.
Know and believe that the serpent at the beginning of creation was indispensable to the order of the world.
Right, so the serpent is the kundalini. It says that the serpent was indispensable to the order of the world.
So long as he kept his place, and he was a great servant, created to bear the yoke and servitude of kingdoms.
Right, so the kundalini, which is the serpent, is actually a servant of you. It serves you. You're the god.
His head reached high above the earth, and his tail reached down even into Sheol and Abaddon.
Abaddon. Right, Sheol would be equivalent to the root chakra down there.
For in all worlds there was a place for him.
Right, in all worlds there's a place for the serpent, the kundalini.
And he was needed for the ordering of all the chariots in its place. Known to the Sefer Vetsira, i.e. the book of the creation, it is he who moves the spheres and turns them from the east to the west and from the north to the south.
Right, so he is he who moves the spheres. The spheres are the chakras. It is the serpent that moves the spheres, which is the kundalini.
Without him there would have been neither seed nor germination.
Right.
It says nor will to produce any created thing.
Right.
That is the mystery of the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right, so that's the mystery of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So remember in lesson 11 when we read the story in the Bible in Genesis of the snake, the serpent offering Eve the fruit, the forbidden fruit? Right, so the stem of the tree is the spinal cord, which the chakras align upon, right? And the forbidden fruit is what they call the third eye, the pineal gland there. Right, continue to read on.
If anyone has favored sight, he will see the beautiful image of the serpent coiled up at the great commencement of the heavens, and becoming for all born beings the principle of all movement. Then he will understand that no being is formed without the serpent.
No being is formed without the serpent, baby. Right?
Right.
You are the god. Peace. And then this section of the Necronomicon, Azathoth, corresponding to the sphere of Sol. Sol referencing the solar. There's a good video on Crumb TV about the history of Saturn and its relationship to the sun, the solar system, right? It says, there can be no creation without destruction, and no destruction without creation. To unmake a thing is to make something else, and each time a thing is made, something is destroyed. These typing sounds are numbers, for they interact in ratio and proportion. All things are made of numbers. Men are formed in their flesh by the arithmetic of Azathoth, who gathers his sums and brings forth shapes. AC and DC, alternate current, direct current. No created being has seen Azathoth, save only Nyarlathotep, who is called the great chaos that creeps, by writers who fear even to voice his name. In Azathoth is order, in Nyarlathotep is disorder. This goes back to what we were talking about Thamael, these two forces of opposition, or what we could call dual adversaries. Dual adversarial forces is one way of looking at it. So this is how creation comes into being. Nyarlathotep, or Nyarlathotep, it's pronounced different ways, is actually also the pineal gland. According to ancient Egyptian theology, there's what is known as the Tep-Zepi. The ancient Egyptians said that within the void called time and space, there are those who move from reality to reality, creating the programs that the souls experience. These are the great old ones that are talked about in this book, the Necronomicon. They move through the place known as Point Zero, or what we could call the void, or the great primordial chaos, which is the black dot, the great dark, which is the great mother, where matter and antimatter merge to create new realities. It is the place where positive and negative collide to destroy matter and recreate again. This refers to a remote epoch prior to existence as we know it, the place of awakening and forgetfulness, the beginning and the end of all and everything, the home of creational forces, those who bend and shape realities through sound, light, and color. This is talking about the great old ones. These are direct references to the great old ones by the ancient Egyptians. And speaking of the great old ones, in Brother Panic's book titled The Origins of Occult Civilization, Volume 1, Hollywood, on pages 324 to 328, pause to read, Brother Panic explains that Nyarlathotep is the pineal gland where dwells the 72 demons of Boeotia, right? So Nyarlathotep, who is one of the great old ones, is the pineal gland. The pineal gland is a god, Nyarlathotep. And also Tep, T-E-P, Tep is a goddess of ancient Egypt representing the Great Mother or the Divine Feminine. So Hotep, Nyarlathotep, Tep is the black dot, the Da'ath, the black diamond. Also, regarding the 72 demons of Goetia, they are 72 feminine energies. In Islam, there's a hadith that says those who fight in the cause of Allah are promised 72 virgins in the afterlife. And Solomon is said to have control over 72 demons. So what are the 72 demons Solomon was said to have power over? As the Quran says, Solomon had armies of jinn at his command. And what are the 72 virgins that a Muslim who fights in the cause of Allah is promised in the hereafter? Let's get into it. In the vision of Jacob's ladder in the book of Genesis, according to Josephus the historian, it was believed that this ladder connecting heaven to earth had 72 steps.
And King Solomon had power over 72 demons.
Right, which as we explained earlier is symbolic of the 72 chakras within you. So these are 72 unseen negative energies within you that Solomon had power over. These are the 72 demons of Goetia, Solomon's 72 demons. So this means that Solomon had power over his internal 72 negative unseen energies. And it doesn't mean negative in the sense of bad or evil, negative in the sense of the opposite polarity of positive polarity. You know, so there's like negative and positive polarity, just like masculine and feminine polarity, right? So in this sense, negative isn't bad, but negative would just be feminine. So these are 72 unseen feminine energies, 72 demons of Goetia, right? The 72 chakras within. And according to an Islamic narrative or a Muslim hadith, those who fight in the cause of Allah are promised 72 companions in the afterlife. Female companions, 72 female energies. You see, it all correlates. And the chapter of the Quran called the Jinn is the 72nd chapter. Jinn means these unseen hidden energies, which are the 72 chakras. Right. It's interesting because Nyarlathotep, your pineal gland, your Kundalini, Yog-Sothoth, these are gods that are part of you, which are the great old ones. It says the old ones were, the old ones are, and the old ones shall be. They walk not on the places we know, but between them, tranquil and primal, by us unseen, for they are formless. It says their names are Azathoth, Dagon, Nyarlathotep, Yig, Shub-Niggurath, Yog-Sothoth, and the seventh who stands apart, Cthulhu. Lili is also known as Lulu. These are names of Lilith. Lilith, Lili, Lulu, Cthulhu, right? And we have Nyarlathotep, Imhotep, Hotep, Tep, the goddess. These are aspects of the great dark mother who birthed everything. In this book, Commemorative Edition Necronomicon, which is a collection of writings of H.P. Lovecraft, on this section, which is From Beyond, the section of From Beyond on page 389, it talks about the pineal gland in reference to the beings that are the great old ones that are from beyond, Nyarlathotep. It says, have you heard of the pineal gland? That gland is the great sense organ of organs, I have found out. It is like sight in the end, and transmits visual pictures to the brain. If you are normal, that is the way you ought to get most of it. I mean, to get most of the evidence from beyond. And it references the aspects of Nyarlathotep, who is the great dark chaos from beyond. In this other section of the book, I'm going to page 759, The Dream Quest of Unknown Qliphoth. Qliphoth is what we could call melanin or dark energy, which is that outer void or that 0 point or that potential for all colors, light, and shapes and forms to exist. It is understood in the land of dream that the other gods, the great old ones, have many agents moving among men. And all these agents, whether wholly human or slightly less than human, are eager to work with the will of those blind and mindless things in return for the favor of their hideous soul and messenger, the crawling chaos, Nyarlathotep. So Nyarlathotep is the messenger of Azathoth. Azathoth also is equivalent to the Demiurge, but Azathoth, as Brother Panic explains in his book, represents melanin, or what we call dark energy or dark matter. That is all things. Physical form, as we know, a 3D material illusion, is just dark matter taking on a light expression. And as Billy Carson explained, all physical form is made of light, right? So even if you're in a dark room with the lights turned off and the curtains are closed and you can't, in the middle of the night, you can't see anything, but you can feel the furniture in the room with your hands, the furniture you're feeling with your hands is still made of light. So everything is made of light, all physical form. It doesn't have to be light you necessarily perceive with 20/20 vision. Then I've got this book here. This is another Donald Tyson book, Alhazred, author of the Necronomicon. And this book is a complementary addition to the Necronomicon collection. I've got a few others. There's the 13 Gates and the John Dee Necronomicon as well. This book documents Alhazred's wanderings with Nyarlathotep. And Nyarlathotep is the great womb, the black hole, the black dot, the Da'ath, the black diamond, the crawling chaos. And Nyarlathotep reveals some interesting things to Alhazred as he journeys. Nyarlathotep tells Alhazred, all turning things are gates, right? Anything that turns is a gate. Anything that has a rotation is a gate. That which turns defines a center and opens it. All centers are at unity. To travel through a gate, you must go to the center and return from it. Yog-Sothoth is the way. I give you his seal. Use it to open the gates. So, as Brother Panic tells us, Yog-Sothoth is the heart. The heart is the gateway. So you have to channel the gateway. You have to channel the heart in order to open the gate. Nyarlathotep is the messenger of Azathoth. So the Da'ath leads to Thamael. You've got to summon these energies to do this Necronomicon work. It's deep. So when you get your pineal gland rotating at the same frequency that Saturn rotates at, you can then do what Saturn does, which is what the Demiurge does. You can create your own shapes and forms via your own light from your own dark energy. A lot of the spheres on the tree are Demiurge energy, but different kinds of Demiurge energy. Like Samael is dealing with the lower ego kind of Demiurge energy, not so much the kind of Demiurge energy you're going to get to when you get higher up on the tree. But when you invert, when you go through the Da'ath, that's like surpassing the Demiurge energy, from my experience, from the way I experienced. Activating your pineal gland is necessary for accessing your own hidden place, accessing your own Da'ath, your own Akashic records, which is your personal paradise. Your own hidden place is your paradise. Everything on record that you've ever had pleasure in, your childhood memories, everything that you hold dear in your heart, you can build it. You are your own Demiurge in a sense. The Qliphoth showed me that I am the Demiurge, and I'm not saying I'm anything more special than anyone else. You who is watching this, you're also all of these things too. You have these abilities too. You can make it what you want to make it, just like the Demiurge made this realm of reality what he wanted to make it. This is a very good book right here. Adversarial Light, Magic of the Nephilim by Michael W. Ford. A lot of good information in this book. And it's very interesting because it starts out chapter 1 here on page 23, Gnostic origins, right? So adversarial light starts out with Gnostic origins. And it says the first archon, whose name was Samael, also was called Yaldabaoth and Saklas. And it says here, page 26, he's known by these many other names too, such as Samael, right? He's also known as Yaqub, Achraman, Mastamoth, Mastema, Satan, Lucifer, Belial. He is the Abrahamic God. He is the God of Genesis who said, let there be light. As it references in this book, he said, I am God, there is no God but me. He's the God that gave Moses the 10 Commandments. He's the God who Christians think Jesus is the son of to this day. But he is only the lower ego. You have to surpass the lower ego. You have to surpass him in practicing adversarial light to get to your own hidden place through the black dot, through the da'at. Page 35, it says, strangely enough, Luciferians do not view Ahriman as evil in a moral sense. Rather, the mere term evil refers to the nature of darkness in a primordial sense. Chaos, or the powers of darkness, are the base predatory instinct. It says the result of mastering chaos is to create from it temporary order, as the Egyptian Set does. Page 89, it says, Lilith as the she-wolf, devouring the child, represents the predatory nature within humans. No matter how we try to deny or hide it, this basic primal instinct is always there. Luciferians understand that this is not something shameful, yet if it is exercised properly, explored and controlled, it may be a feeding, useful aspect of our psyche. Lilith is that very primal instinct which feeds our desire. Luciferians who wish to utilize this goddess may conduct rituals or meditations based on the images associated with Lilith, Lili, Lulu, Cthulhu. Reading further in this book, Adversarial Light, it says the process of Luciferian magic is to unlock these powers of the unconscious to gain power and knowledge. This is why Luciferians understand and utilize the symbolism of hell and the underworld. The word hell derives from Helen, which is an Anglo-Saxon word meaning hidden place or the place of shades. So the word hell just means a hidden place. Your own hidden place is actually a paradise to you. Your own hidden place is your da'at, is your bindu seed. I am the black dot. I am the bindu seed. I am the black diamond. I am the primordial black hole, the god Saturn. I am the great mother. I am all of these things. I am Lilith, Lili, Lulu. I am the dark crawling chaos. I am the great old ones. I am Nyarlathotep. I am Tep. I am the great black dark mother that birthed everything in this lower level human egotistical form, experiencing itself as Samael, or what we could call Kafsiel. The Qliphoth showed me that I'm all of these things. My hidden place is my Da'ath, right? My black hole. My Nyarlathotep. My Lilith.
The greater keys of Solomon is astrology. The lesser keys of Solomon is the 72 demons of Goetia. Let's break down the word Solomon. Sol means the sun. Amen means the hidden. Amen was the Egyptian god, which means the hidden, which is your soul, which is also Amen. In Africa, you have 7 of the main spirits. You got 7 main chakras. Don't worship no Orisha. They are all parts of your own body. Before I go on about the demons of Goetia, in West Africa, voodoo or Voodoo was a mystery system. And the high priest went underground before they got invaded. Same thing happened in Kemet. And when they went underground, they left all this elaborate information, and the average citizen took this information and religionified it. And they kept it alive. But you shouldn't worship these spirits. They're all inside your body. Let's get back to the chakras. In your Agna chakra, which is your 6th chakra, which is your third eye chakra, you have 72 chakras in your pineal gland. Shout out to Bobby Hemmett and Brother C. Freeman L for the information. So you got 72 demons in your pineal gland, 72 chakras in your pineal gland. 72 times 5. Where do I get the 5 from? Because you are Allah, black man, black woman. Arm, leg, arm, head. You are Allah. That's 5. You put your arms on your legs. You look like a star or a son of God. So 72 times 5 is 360. And this is a book from Dr. Lalila Africa. And this is your pineal gland blew up to a picture that you can actually see. And it looks like the planet Saturn, or a ring around the pineal gland, which looks like the planet Saturn or Satan. This is the Kabbalah tree of life. Satan only means the black opening or the black dot. The Doth is the black dot. So these white occultists usually don't have the black dot, so they always take it out the tree of life in these books. So in the tree of life, the Doth is the pineal gland, the black dot, the black opening, the Satan. In this book by Aleister Crowley, he states that each one of these 72 demons have about 20 to 50 legions of other demons. A legion is a couple thousand. That's like 3,000 to 10,000, which means you have over 1 million and millions of demons inside your own pineal gland. That's a whole spiritual army in your whole pineal gland. If you check out the movie Spawn, Spawn was played by your boy Michael J. White. In the comic book or the movie, Spawn was supposed to lead this hell army and tear down Heaven's Gate. But in the movie, he was talked down by the white boy. He ain't want to do it no more. Even when Doctor Strange's third eye opened, he destroyed the whole earth and every single reality. God, generator, operator, destroyer, which is the Kundalini energy that bites the apple, which is the pineal gland. The Kundalini energy, which is the snake rising up the spine, which is the 33 vertebrae to bite the pineal gland. Shout out to Bobby Hemmett. He said we are chaos beings. It's not fitting to call us gods. We are above the gods. We are against the gods. The demonic realm is your power base. Check out Simeon Toko released the army against the government.
So very, very interesting stuff. I hope you enjoyed that. I didn't have it sped up and I did slow it down a little bit, just to try and, like I say, speed things up a little bit. But my news, okay, so I've taken a step towards my own advancement and I've joined a temple. The temple is called the Temple of the Horned Serpent, and I think I've mentioned him maybe in a couple of other videos. He's the first person I actually started to watch on demonology, Lee W. Johnson. And as you know, I've been toying with the idea of getting a mentor. I do believe, in actual, I was listening to someone today can't remember who that was now. And he was saying that, you know, oh, actually, it was a Luciferian, Patrick Galliello or something like this on my Facebook, and he was saying that, you know, we do need a mentor. So I've taken that step. The Temple of the Horned Serpent. So really looking forward to that. Now, Lee actually comes from a different approach than what I've been looking at so far. He doesn't testify to be a left-hand pather or a right-hand pather. And he also doesn't agree. Well, I wouldn't say doesn't agree, but he doesn't endorse the Qliphoth. And I was having a conversation with him back and forth. So I was basically asking him, you know, his views on the Qliphoth, and he has done a video on this, so his views aren't secret. But he says he doesn't follow the modern ideology of the Qliphoth, except to say that the shells or husks, which are the Qlipha, are the physical manifestations that we deal with every day. He says he's more interested in exploring the underworld beneath the surface of the physical and bringing it all into equilibrium, which is what I actually said at the beginning of this video. It's about equilibrium, and what I've been seeing in a lot of left-hand path practitioners, it is about just staying on the left-hand path, and this was confusing me a little bit. So we'll see where this takes me. I did my first meditation with Lee's course this morning, and it actually was slightly different to the magic course that I was doing from Josephine McCarthy. And I actually preferred it. It was just about sitting still, not moving a muscle, not even swallowing if you can, and then incorporating yogic breath work. And I have done breath work before, so yeah, it just that type of meditation resonated with me for the very early stages. And also I did a clearing, banishing ritual, which was just basically clearing negative energy from myself and an offering. So that's my daily practice basically. And I've ordered a book. I've got a month to read a book. I think what it's going to do is, because it's costing me money, it's actually going to, I'm going to have to commit to it basically. So we're going to have a video call every month to discuss my progress. So yeah, that's my news. I am moving forward with this journey, and I am looking forward to it, to see where I get. And who knows, you know, I might go off and do the Qliphoth when I've got some ritual work and a better understanding. And also what I like about Lee's work is that I will learn who my holy guardian angel is. I don't know how that will come about, but I will learn who that is. So yes, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, guys, if you've got this far. And yeah, I shall speak to you all in due course. The wind's just really picked up now. It looks like it's going to storm, although it hasn't forecast a storm, but who knows with the weather of the current times. I shall speak to you all soon, guys. Bye.